at 8 p.m. there was a very important meeting of the coalition we are putting together to ensure that President Tinubu goes back to Lagos, though we still keep the 20%.
Who is talking about El-Rufai in Nigerian politics again? I don't think I want to go into that. We are certainly not worried because when you, for instance, try to look at what our party is doing
a coalition ahead of 2027 general election? I think the coalition is more in the mental construct of some individuals. There's nothing like coalition.
One party system is no good. It's one party ruling and driving the aspiration of Nigerians. And you don't blame a people bailing out of a sinking ship when they have no life jacket.
Elections are supposed to be decided by the people through ballots, not benches, through voters, not verdicts. But in Nigeria, that idea remains more hope than habit. Here, elections are often not won on election day. They are fought and won or lost in the months that follow. Not in polling units, but in courtrooms. Not by campaigns, but by legal briefs. And as the 2027 election approaches, a new coalition is rising, made up of politicians who are frustrated with the current administration and who lost out in the 2023 election, hungry for reform, backed by frustrated generation tired of politics as usual. But there is a problem, one big enough to derail everything that they hope to achieve. The system that they are trying to win within may already be working against them, from courtrooms acting like kingmakers to an electoral commission shrouded in excuses instead of transparency. The warning signs are clear. If Nigerians' institutions are not checked and reformed, 2027 might not be an election. It might be a coronation masquerading as democracy. This is not just a political issue, it is a power issue. Who really decides who leads Nigeria? A big question. And will the will of the people matter, or just the decision of a few in robes and ties? If you're ready, let's break it down. After the 2023 general election, one thing became painfully clear. The judiciary is now the ultimate political referee and sometimes the final elector. Governors were removed, lawmakers were sacked, winners became losers, and losers with the right legal team became winners. In Imo State, a man who came fourth in the polls was declared governor. In Zamfara, APC lost control due to internal party issues, not voter decisions. In Lagos, the House of Assembly seats were flipped not by recount but by rulings. Same thing applicable in Rivers State, where after lawmakers announced their defection, came back and changed that decision as a ruling by the Supreme Court says that they never defected. Presidential petitions dragged on for months. Political confidence fell with every delay, every contradictory decision. The courts became more powerful than the ballots. And the new coalition, they saw it. Many of their candidates were disqualified post-elections, not by Inec, not by voters, but by the tribunal and the Supreme Court panels. One analyst put it bluntly, it doesn't matter who wins the votes, it matters who argues best in court. But is that democracy or judicial capture? Is the judiciary acting as a check on power or as a broker of it? Either way, one truth is clear. No serious contender in 2027 can ignore the courts and Inec. In 2023, Inec made big promises. Real-time result uploads, transparent collation, clean, credible elections. They told us about the Bermuda Voter Accreditation System known as BVAS. They told us about IREV, the Inec result viewing portal. But on election day, Nigerians watched in disbelief as all of it broke down. Technical glitches became the new excuse. Results were delayed, missing, or never uploaded. Inec blamed the network, the servers, even the weather. Meanwhile, trust in the system collapsed. Journalists were barred from collation centers, civil society groups cried foul, but Inec carried on, announcing results in dead of the night, offering a little explanation and even less accountability. Now, in the build-up to 2027, Inec is back, asking for more money, more support, more time. But where are the reforms? Where is the audit of the 2023 election? Where is the transparency? Inec is supposed to be the umpire, neutral, credible, and respected. But right now, many see it as a player, a biased one, a compromised one, who holds Inec accountable, who audits its system, its spending, its decisions. If that question remains unanswered in 2027, then we are not heading for an election, we are heading for another institutional disaster. First time in years, Nigeria's fragmented opposition is trying to do something bold, something strategic. Three of the country's most prominent opposition figures, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Labour Party's Peter Obi, and former Kaduna State Governor Nasiru El-Rufai, and recently including the former Governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amechi, have come together quietly, carefully, but decisively. On Tuesday, May the 20th, after months of closed-door meetings and uneasy negotiations, the trio, as announced by the Daily Post, sealed a political pact. The goal to unite against President Bola Tinubu in the 2027 general election. The alliance, still unofficial, will reportedly rely under the African Democratic Congress (ADC), a lesser-known party that could suddenly become the epicenter of Nigeria's political opposition. And make no mistake, this is historic. It marks a reconciliation between former rivals, men whose political divided ambitions in 2023 cleared the path for Tinubu's controversial victory. In fact, combined, Atiku and Obi scored more votes than Tinubu's 8.7 million. Had they united then, the outcome may have been very different. Now, they are trying again, this time together. But here's the problem. Unity is not enough. The coalition, promising as it may be, faces far more dangerous obstacles than party politics or power sharing. It faces a system that has shown time and time again that popularity does not equal victory in Nigeria. They are preparing a political front, but are they preparing a legal one? Are they aligning parties? Are they challenging institutions? They are thinking about ballots, but are they thinking about the battleground beyond the ballots? Because in Nigeria, it is not just about the candidates, it is about the courtrooms, the hurdles ahead before a single vote is cast. This new coalition is not without cracks. The first and most obvious one is who leads. Atiku is from the north, Obi the southeast. Nigerians' unwritten rule of power rotation, north to south and back again, means whoever emerges as the coalition's presidential flag bearer will risk realigning parts of the country, especially after the 2023 elections where Obi dominated the South and youth votes. And let's not forget the internal divisions. The PDP, Atiku's base, is engulfed in leadership crisis. Labour Party is still bleeding from infighting between Peter Obi and the party's chairman, Julius Abure. El-Rufai, once a strong Tinubu ally, is wild card, a brilliant technician, but also a polarizing figure. In other words, the alliance looks good on paper, but could unravel in practice. Still, what they represent is power. A true pan-Nigerian coalition, North-South, Christian, Muslim, Old Guard, and New Wave. It could appeal to the broadest swath of the electorate seen in decades. But even if they get it all right through the ticket, the messaging, the mobilization, they still risk falling into the same trap as 2023, believing that votes alone are enough to secure victory. The system is still rigged, and the coalition must see it right now. What the new coalition must confront head-on now is that they are walking into a game whose rule can change at any time. They can't just win arguments in town halls. They have to win arguments in courtrooms. They can't just hire media teams. They must build Lego teams across all 36 states, ready to defend votes, file petitions, and expose irregularities in real time. They must pressure Inec long before the election day, demand reforms to electronic transmission of results, train polling agents not just to observe, but to gather legal admissible evidence, document voter suppression from ballot theft to disenfranchisement with the speed and clarity courts demand. And perhaps most critically, they must mobilize the public not just to vote, but for institutional reform. Because without a clean system, even the cleanest candidates will be tainted. The momentum isn't enough. Memory at this point matters. The coalition is gaining momentum. Soaring inflation, fuel subsidy removal, economic hardship, youth disillusionment. Every new hardship under Tinubu is another reason for Nigerians to look elsewhere. But memories matters. Voters remember 2023. They remember how IRA failed. They remember how result vanished. They remember the silence from Inec, the contradictions from the judiciary, and the sense that their votes didn't count. If the coalition doesn't address this directly, clearly, and loudly, then all the momentum could turn into mourning on election day. So far, these alliances focused on fixing political maths, how to unite votes, regions and parties. But what they must urgently do is to fix the strategic equation: votes plus law equals to power. Anything less is just a rehearsal. Now to the bottom line of this. This coalition could change Nigerians' political future. It has the numbers, it has the minds, it may even have the will, but cannot afford to be naive. If 2023 taught us anything, it is this: you don't win elections in Nigeria by popularity alone. You win by preparing both for battle on all fronts: political, legal, and institutional. That means going beyond unity. It also means preparing for war, the legal war that often decides who really governs Nigeria. The coalition must have finally come together, and they must have woken up to the system that they are stepping into and a way to challenge it.
They had to come without food, because yesterday at 8 p.m. there was a very important meeting of the coalition we are putting together to ensure that President Tinubu goes back to Lagos, though we still keep the alright, we still keep the minister because he's doing good work, okay, but I'll come to that. So I had to attend that meeting at 8 p.m. and the Katsina airport does not operate after 8 p.m. so I couldn't come until this morning. We are booked to travel on Rano Air to arrive here about 9:30. Rano just cancelled. I think he must have been advised by the sitting government to cancel the flight. So I had two choices: either to drive and arrive at 4 p.m. or...
Is your party worried with the defection of the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, to the SDP? Are you worried about that?
Who is talking about El-Rufai in Nigerian politics again? I don't think I want to go into that. We are certainly not worried, because when you, for instance, try to look at what our party is doing in
a coalition ahead of 2027 general election,
I think the coalition is more in the mental construct of some individuals. There's nothing like coalition, and I'm very sure about that. And of course, I also laughable when I heard somebody who had been a serial defector from one political party to the other, talking about forming mega political party and forming parallel government. I think people should, if they cannot do politics the way it is done, they cannot go out to mobilize and then add value to what they are doing in terms of politicking. They should find some other activity to engage in rather than just doing sloganeering. Politics is not about sloganeering. It's about actually doing serious work, getting into the public, getting with the people, and getting people to resonate with your programs and policies. But to just make slogan, coalition. Some even form, you remember in the past, form a mega political party, as if by using the word mega makes that political party to be big.
Already is.
This is not just to create fear or worry or apathy for voters and the coalition team. It is just Nigerians' recent history on repeat. Courts have cancelled elections. Inec has lost results. Power blocks have changed rules mid-game. If the new coalition is serious about change, about leadership, about Nigerians' future, they must understand this. The re-election doesn't start in February. It starts today. It's how you organize. It's who you hire. In what systems you challenge and reform long before election day. Because if you walk into 2027 blind to the lessons of 2023, you might find yourself exactly where P2B did: popular, principled, and defeated. Now to the real question. Do you, as my viewer right now, trust Inec to be neutral in 2027? Can the judiciary deliver justice in a system this politicized? And will the new coalition learn from the history or repeat its mistakes? Drop your thoughts in the comment. Tag someone who cares about Nigerians' future. Share this with a voter, a candidate, a lawyer, anyone who wants better. Because 2027 is already on the way and the system is watching.